you are probably paying more for several everyday things than they are actually worth. Not because prices simply went up, but because the structure of many purchases quietly changed. Over the last few years, a large number of normal expenses have been redesigned around recurring charges, convenience fees, financing layers, and subscription models. Individually, none of these feel dramatic. A few dollars here, a small monthly charge there. But the cumulative effect is powerful. Costs that once appeared once at checkout now follow you every month afterward. And when enough purchases behave this way, something subtle happens. Your income doesn't necessarily change. Your lifestyle may not even feel different. Yet the amount of money that remains available to save or invest slowly shrinks. Today we're going to look at 12 things you're likely paying too much for right now. Not because you made a mistake, but because the economics behind these purchases shifted quietly. The goal isn't to eliminate spending. The goal is to make sure what you buy still delivers real value instead of quietly draining your margin. 1. Extended warranties. Extended warranties feel like protection. In reality, they are often one of the most overpriced financial products attached to everyday purchases. When you buy electronics, appliances, or even furniture, the retailer frequently offers a protection plan for an additional fee. The pitch is always the same. If something goes wrong, you're covered. But statistically, these plans rarely pay off. A well-known analysis by Consumer Reports found that most extended warranties cost more than the expected repair value of the item they protect. In other words, on average, people collectively pay more into warranties than they ever receive back in repairs. Imagine buying a $900 television and adding a $180 warranty. The company offering that protection isn't guessing. They already know the probability of failure during that period is low. So what you're actually buying isn't protection. You're buying peace of mind at a price that is mathematically tilted in the seller's favor. And because warranties are often added in the final moments of checkout, when your brain is already committed to the purchase, the decision rarely gets the scrutiny it deserves. 2. Subscription stacking. Subscriptions feel small. A few dollars a month rarely triggers concern, but stacking changes the math. A streaming service for $14, a music app for $11, a productivity tool for $9, a cloud storage plan for $6, a news subscription for $10. Individually, these purchases seem harmless. Together, they quietly form a second utility bill. A study from the subscription analytics firm Zura found that the average consumer now manages more than a dozen recurring subscriptions. Many people underestimate the total cost by hundreds of dollars per year. You might believe you're spending $40 monthly on subscriptions when the actual total is closer to $90 or $120. And because these charges happen automatically, they bypass the moment of reconsideration that occurs when you physically decide to pay for something again. Subscriptions aren't necessarily bad, but subscription accumulation often goes unnoticed until it becomes expensive. 3. Food delivery convenience. Food delivery has become frictionless, and frictionless spending is almost always more expensive. When you order a meal through a delivery app, you're not just paying for the food. There are multiple layers embedded in the final price: menu markup, service fee, delivery fee, driver tip. A $14 meal can easily become a $26 checkout. A 2023 analysis by market research firm Second Measure showed that restaurant menu prices on delivery platforms can be 15 to 30% higher than in-store prices before fees are even added. That means convenience doesn't just cost a few dollars, it can double the effective price of a meal. Now imagine doing that 3 times per week. Over a year, that difference can quietly reach several $1,000s. The behavior itself feels normal, but the price structure changed dramatically. 4. New cars with long financing. Cars themselves didn't suddenly become bad purchases. The financing structure around them changed. Auto loans used to average around 4 years. Today, 7-year loans are increasingly common. At first glance, longer loans appear helpful because they reduce the monthly payment, but they dramatically increase the total interest cost. A report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York shows that the average auto loan balance in the U.S. has steadily climbed, with many borrowers carrying loans longer than they keep the vehicle. Imagine a $35,000 car financed over 72 months. Even at a moderate interest rate, the total cost of the loan can exceed $40,000. And the risk grows because vehicles depreciate quickly. Within a few years, you can owe more than the car is worth. This is how a normal transportation purchase becomes a long-term financial drag. 5. Constant phone upgrades. Smartphones have quietly crossed a threshold where improvements between generations are relatively small. Yet the upgrade cycle keeps accelerating. Many wireless carriers now encourage customers to upgrade every 2 years, sometimes even every year, through installment plans that reset whenever a new device launches. The result is subtle. You never technically finish paying for the phone. The cycle just restarts. A device that costs $1,000 spread across monthly payments may feel manageable. But if that cycle repeats every 2 years instead of every 4, your lifetime spending doubles. What changed wasn't the phone, it was the upgrade rhythm. Stretching the replacement cycle by even a single year can save thousands over time. 6. Premium coffee habits. Daily coffee purchases feel small enough to ignore. $5 for a drink doesn't seem like a financial decision worth analyzing, but repetition transforms small expenses. If you buy a $5 coffee 5 days per week, that's about $1,300 per year. And that estimate assumes you never add pastries, larger drinks, or additional visits. Behavioral researchers frequently observe that people underestimate the annual cost of small recurring purchases when they think about them individually rather than collectively. Seen 1 cup at a time, the cost feels trivial. Seen over 12 months, it becomes much more visible. 7. Bank fees you don't notice. Some of the most expensive financial costs are the ones that never require a decision. Bank fees often fall into this category. Monthly account maintenance charges, out-of-network ATM fees, overdraft penalties, minimum balance penalties. Each individual charge may only be $10 or $25, but the system is designed to collect these fees repeatedly. According to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, Americans pay billions of dollars annually in overdraft and bank fees. Often, these charges occur because accounts are set up with conditions the user never revisits. You might open an account years ago when the requirements made sense. Later, the account structure changes, but the fee system remains. The result is a slow leak of money that rarely receives attention. 8. App-based convenience spending. Technology has made purchasing incredibly fast. With one-click payments, digital wallets, and saved cards, buying something can take less than 5 seconds. That speed removes a powerful psychological pause. Behavioral economists have repeatedly observed that the easier it is to pay, the more people spend. A famous study by researchers at MIT found that individuals were willing to pay significantly more for the same product when using credit cards compared with cash. The mechanism is simple. When payment becomes frictionless, the brain experiences less spending pain. So you might order something online for $19 without hesitation, but if you had to physically hand over $19 in cash, the decision might feel different. Convenience payments are useful, but they also make overpaying easier. 9. Furniture on financing plans. Furniture stores increasingly promote zero-interest financing offers. At first glance, this seems helpful. You can furnish an entire room without paying up front. But many of these plans operate under deferred interest structures. If the balance isn't fully paid before the promotional period ends, the accumulated interest from the entire purchase can suddenly appear. This means a couch advertised at $1,800 can quietly become a $2,400 obligation if the payment schedule slips. Financing transforms a purchase that might have required planning into one that happens immediately. And when financing is widely available, retailers often increase prices because buyers focus on the monthly payment instead of the total cost. 10. Luxury apartment amenities. Modern apartment buildings often advertise resort-style amenities, rooftop lounges, fitness centers, package concierge services, co-working spaces. These features sound appealing, but they are rarely free. Their cost is embedded in rent. If an apartment with premium amenities costs $300 more per month than a simpler building, that difference equals $3,600 per year. The real question becomes, how often do you actually use those features? If you rarely visit the rooftop or gym, you're effectively paying thousands annually for amenities that function mostly as marketing. Sometimes the simpler apartment provides the same housing outcome at a much lower price. 11. Brand premium clothing. Clothing prices often include a significant brand premium. Two shirts can be made from nearly identical materials, manufactured in similar factories, yet priced dramatically differently based on the logo. Branding itself isn't inherently bad. It can signal design quality or durability. But in many categories, the difference between a $40 item and $120 item has less to do with production cost and more to do with brand perception. When these purchases accumulate across an entire wardrobe, the premium can become substantial. Buying fewer, higher quality items can make sense, but buying brand names automatically leads to paying more without receiving proportional value. 12. The small upgrade mentality. One of the most powerful ways people overpay is through constant small upgrades. The slightly better seat, the slightly faster shipping option, the upgraded hotel room, the premium subscription tier. Each upgrade seems minor, $10 here, $20 there. But when upgrades become the default choice rather than the occasional one, spending expands quietly. A report from the behavioral science group at Duke University highlights how consumers tend to anchor on base prices and treat upgrades as small additions rather than independent purchases. In reality, the upgrade often represents the largest margin for the seller. Choosing the upgrade occasionally can enhance experiences, but choosing it automatically can turn modest spending into expensive habits. Conclusion. Most financial pressure doesn't come from one dramatic mistake. It comes from dozens of small price structures that quietly changed over time. Extended warranties, subscription stacking, delivery convenience, long car loans, constant upgrades, hidden bank fees. None of these expenses look extreme in isolation, but together they can remove thousands of dollars from your annual margin without ever triggering a clear decision. The goal isn't to eliminate spending or chase extreme frugality. It's simply to notice when the math behind a purchase has changed. Because when you adjust even a few of these patterns, something important happens. Your income stays the same. Your lifestyle may barely change, but the amount of money left over at the end of the month quietly begins to grow. If you found this breakdown useful, consider subscribing for more clear, practical insights about money and everyday financial decisions. And if there's one expense on this list that surprised you, share it in the comments. It's always interesting to see where people discovered they've been quietly overpaying. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.